Welcome back. This is Sandy with Sandy's Organized Chaos, and today we're going to be doing something very sweet, very fun. We're going to be making some robin's eggs out of these $1 wine glasses that I got from the dollar store. As always, I will make sure to put everything into the description below, so that way you guys can find it if you need to. If you are new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more tutorials, vlogs, tips, products, all kinds of stuff I have coming your way. So let's wake up, prep those tumblers, and slay all day. Let's do this. So like I said earlier, I'm just using a dollar store wine glass. I believe they are 15 ounces. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel off that sticker on the bottom and wipe it down with some rubbing alcohol. I just want to make sure to remove any of that sticker residue and any greasy fingerprints I may have put onto the glass. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to start off with the hard part first. And that hard part is wrapping vinyl on a wine tumbler because there's a little bit of a curve at the bottom, so it can be a little bit tricky. I went ahead and I did one wine glass already just to make sure I knew I could do it too. But I went ahead and did this one, and that's what this one will look like once we are done. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my transfer tape, and then after I get it all burnished down onto my vinyl, I am going to come through and trim it out really well. You just want to trim as close as you can to your decal. That's all you need to do. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how I would like my decal onto my wine glass. And I kind of liked it where the rose was up at the top and the stem swooped around the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and get that top rose lined up, and I'm going to press that down. Then I'm going to take my thumb that is holding the glass, and I'm going to place it up under my vinyl decal at the bottom, so that way the bottom does not stick yet, because we're not ready for that to stick down yet. We want to work on the top first. So working from the top down, we are going to press everything nice and flat against that wine glass. You want it nice and smooth. You don't want any bubbles in there. If you do get a little bubble, it's okay. You can come through with a little needle and pop it and press all the air out, but you don't want that air bubble showing through on the other side because you'll be able to see it. So as I got the top portion all burnished down onto my wine glass, I'm going to start to gently pull back my transfer tape as I go. Every step of the way, I just continue to peel that transfer tape and work down my stem until it starts to swoop around the bottom. As you are rubbing on it with your thumb, everything will start to kind of warm up, and it'll just really start to form and start to make that curve as you go. So as you see, I started with that first top rose, and I worked over to my second rose. Then I started to peel back my transfer tape and work my way down the stem. Now I'm working on that last rose there, and now I'm going to work on that last half of the stem. You guys know I always like to keep it very upfront here. I did mess up a little bit, and I'm going to show you how I fixed it. I accidentally pulled a little leaf off, but it is not a big deal because we're human and things happen. So I'm just going to continue to get this placed onto my wine glass, and then I'll show you guys how I fixed my little oopsie that I had there. Like I said, this was the hardest part, but I know you guys got this. It is going to be okay. If you can see that I even make mistakes, but I know how to fix it, I just want you guys to know you got this. Okay, so I'm going to peel off my little leaf here because that's not where I want them. I'm going to get them all lined up, and I'm just going to place them right back up against the little stem here. And I'm going to take my nail and just make sure everything is smoothed down really well. And after I did that, you couldn't even tell. You can't even tell. So no one will know except you. All right, that first side is done now. Just to kind of make sure that that glue is nice and set, I do kind of like to hold the cup in my hand just to kind of warm the glue and make it set even better. I come through with the transfer tape one more time. It just really helps out with making sure all those edges are very smooth and flat against the wine glass. Now I'm just going to repeat the same process on the other side, and then we'll move on to the fun stuff. All right, here they are with their decals. Very pretty. I actually even kind of like it like this. I thought they were very nice, just like that as well. Now, if you want to, you can kind of wipe them down again with some rubbing alcohol, but I felt they were okay. My fingers weren't too greasy. Okay, now we're gonna move outside and we're gonna do some spray painting. Now this color will be on the inside of the glass, so that's what will be seen on the inside. It's also the base color for the glitters I want to apply as well. And that is Vintage Blush by Rust-Oleum. Now all you want to do is just, I'm probably about 12 inches away from my cup, probably about 8 to 12 inches away from my cups. And you just want to give it a couple light coats because you don't want any runs in this because you'd be able to see it on the inside if you have any little runs or anything. So I'm just going to give it a really light coat. Then I'm going to come back through and give it one more really light coat after this. If you ever notice you guys have your spray paint cans and it just is spitting and spluttering all kinds of paint everywhere, this is what I like to do to alleviate that. What I do is I shake it up really well first, and then I notice if it's just spitting out the top. And what you want to do is turn your can over and let it run clear for a couple seconds, and then flip it back over, prime your can one more time to get any of those little specks of paint that might have dried up in there to make it do that. And that will help solve that issue that you might be having if your can is just spitting and getting paints all over the place. Okay, because it is a little bit colder here in Southwest Florida, I let those sit for a good hour before I'm moving on to this next part. You want them nice and dry before you move on. And that's how it looks so far with the white vinyl decals on the inside with the pretty vintage blush outside there. Okay, so now we want to attach it to our wands. Now I just used footballs and I taped off the bottom of my football. And once I insert it, I will show you what it looks like because you don't want your football touching the rim of your glass because then it'll just get stuck to it and it'll make it a big mess. So you don't want that. So I just use painter's tape, or you could use electrical tape, and you want to tape that down really well at the bottom, and that will help out a lot when you start to epoxy. Now I just have some brown here. I think it's Recollections, and I didn't have enough of it, so I actually used some of my other rose opal that I sell in my shop as well. But I have my Alumilite's Amazing Clear Cast because I'm going to be applying the glitter with the epoxy method. But if you don't like to apply your glitter that way, you can use Mod Podge to apply your glitter the first round if you'd like. And you do not need a lot of epoxy. I just did a little dollop on the front there, and that's all I used to go completely around my tumbler. And you just want to make sure to smooth it out really well. Make sure you hit the rim, hit the bottom. Make sure everything is nice and wet with your epoxy, so that way that glitter has something to stick to. So I'm going to go ahead and load up this brown glitter here. So after I apply this glitter, I'm going to let them spin for about 4 hours. Now, now it's just habit. Obviously, it doesn't need to spin. It's just a habit of mine. I just say I'm going to let them spin. Okay, if you guys do the hang method, do that. I don't know. However you guys like to do it, just do it that way. There's no right or wrong in art, guys. But after that, I'm going to come through. I'm going to apply a second coat of epoxy. I'm going to kind of do a flood coat on that next round so that way I don't have to do too much sanding before we do our painting. So I'm going to go ahead and put the flood coat on after that. Then I'm going to let those sit and cure for about 12 hours, if not a little bit longer, before I decide to start painting on them. Okay, here they are with that second coat of epoxy, ready to go for that speckled paint job. Now, as you can see, it does need a little bit of sanding, so I'm going to come through with my razor knife. Now, there's a little bit of a lip down up inside of there, down up inside. You guys know what I mean. There's a little bit of a lip under there, so you just want to make sure to remove any extra epoxy. This just helps out with the process. I really like to come through and run my razor knife around just as I go. It really helps out in the end. And I'm going to take some sandpaper and I'm going to hit up those edges as well because you want them nice and smooth for people to sip out of once it is complete. So I'm going to take some sandpaper here. I'm going to give it a good sanding, and then we will put them back onto their footballs. Now for the second round, I was a little too nervous that they were going to fall off the wands when I hit them with the water hose because I'm going to be doing the power wash method on them. There we go. I know what I'm saying. So I used some foam contact paper or drawer liner paper to put in there along with the footballs, and I just tuck everything down nice and tight inside of there, and they won't move at all when we go to do the rest of this project. So there we go, nice and sturdy, ready to go. We are outside, and as you can see, I have something for my tumblers to sit on once I spray paint them. I have my Dawn Powerwash spray. I told you guys I was addicted to this stuff. It does so much cool stuff. And I have some robin's egg by Rust-Oleum. You know, it was fitting, right? We're making robin's eggs, and I found robin egg paint. So I'm just going to prime my can here. Now I'm going to show you guys how I like to do this. I want to give my Powerwash a couple pumps just to figure out where, because I just want the tip of the foam. I don't want big, huge blobs of foam. So I'm going to show you right here. I'm holding that pump up by my shoulder, and I'm holding the glass as far away from me as I can, just so that way the little splatters of the foam hit the tumbler and not big blotches. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that really quick, and I'm going to bring it up to the camera just to kind of show you. Now I'm going to take my paint. I'm going to spray paint it really well. Now it took me a couple times to kind of go around and cover everything in this paint, probably because that base is a little bit darker. But once I got that all covered, I'm going to right away pick up my water hose and rinse this off completely. And then we'll move on to that second wine glass and do the same exact thing. So here I am with my water hose, rinsing it off. And then I will show you guys what that looks like. And then I will set it on my rack and grab my next wine glass. And we will just repeat the same exact process, just like we did, holding that oh, hold on. Let's look at that color. Oh my goodness. Okay, anyways. Same exact process. Hold that Powerwash back by your shoulder. Give it some spritzes. Spray it with your spray paint there. And then pick up the hose right away and rinse it off. Now, I left mine plain, but you guys, I have so many ideas going through my head. This would be so cute on a stainless tumbler with like a chocolate drip around the top and maybe some Easter themed stuff at the bottom. I mean, there's so many different ideas you guys could come up with this, but I like to just give you guys ideas, and then I want you guys to take it and do what you want to do with it. So that's why I try not to add decals too often onto my tumblers, because I just want to be your inspiration. Okay, again, it's chilly, so I'm going to let those sit for a good hour before I take them inside. Now, before I apply my last coat of epoxy, or my second to last coat of epoxy, because I like to add 2 coats, I'm going to come through and dry everything off really well, because everything got wet, and if you put water, or if water gets mixed into your epoxy, that's no good, and your cup may get ruined. So you want to dry everything off really, really well. And this is also a great opportunity to come through and clean out any spray paint that might have gotten inside of your tumbler as well. So I'm just going to, or not tumbler, wine glass, you guys know what I mean. So I'm going to take some rubbing alcohol and clean off the inside, and I'm going to get those back onto their wands. Once I get them onto the wand, of course, I'm going to apply my epoxy, let that cure, apply my last coat of epoxy, and then they are done. Whether you take this design and duplicate it as is, or you take it and let it inspire you to create something that is completely your own, I hope that you guys had fun watching this tutorial today. Again, if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.